Hey guys, it's Jared here with today's trade recap. I had a bad day and I had some really nice trades in here that I'm going to go over, but unfortunately I just dug myself too big a hole on plug and I couldn't climb out. And I have plug pulled up here, but my watch list here is going to be Twitter, plug, NIO, and PLTR. That was my watch list for today, and I like my watch list. You know, it was a good watch list. I just unfortunately didn't execute today. Now, just as a side note, if you're watching plug right here, what is that, somewhere in the 952, 53-ish area. I mean, just a perfect setup here. Not completely perfect, but we had a really nice triangle. That along right there would have been really sweet right at the $51 level, but I didn't do that. So my trade was here on plug, and what I was trying to do was my a bullish boot pattern here, and you can kind of see it's an upside down boot. I like this pattern a lot, but this execution is terrible. So let me show you why it's terrible. I took it long here right at $50. First of all, I didn't get a good entry. I pressed my hotkeys when it was at 50, but the way the price action was moving, I actually didn't get filled until 50.23. Now that's a huge amount of slippage. So I'm already in a really bad position with this trade. And so I basically had to get out if it lost 50. I didn't have any wiggle room because I didn't get the exact entry I wanted. Either way, this is a bad trade. Here's why. It's a bad trade because in general my rule is when there's other potential lines of support below, I like to wait all the way until it gets to the last one, which would be this line right here. You know, so around this 49.20, and then you can see it exactly happen. So I knew that. I said that in my head before I even took the position, and anytime I can recognize that in real time and say it in my head, to take that position is just a huge no-no. Additionally, this volume right here, if you just look at the sequence of the volume, this volume as it's coming back to me says this pullback is not over. Okay, so this volume price analysis does not agree with a long position there. So it was a bad trade in multiple different ways. Now I do like the pattern, and overall it did what I wanted. But day trading is about not only predicting the overall direction of the stock within the time frame that's meaningful to you, but also critically important, getting an entry that allows you to have the staying power to stay in it until that move goes in your favor. Now think about it this way: if you want to flip a car, you got to get a good price on the car. If you get a bad price on the car, there's no way to be profitable flipping it. And it's no different with stocks. Entry. For me, my huge problem when I go through periods of struggling is me knowingly taking bad entries, but just not being able to resist the temptation in real time. And so you got to get a good entry. This is a terrible trade, and this was a hole I didn't climb out of, but you know, I did have some trades that got me out a bit. But again, I never got fully out of the hole today, and it's, you know, it always is a little sad when you start like that. Okay, so insert Twitter. You see Twitter here on in the morning here, it goes down. And what you could be fooled into thinking is, all right, we're setting up the opposite trade here, the bearish boot. But I didn't see this as a bearish boot, and let me tell you why. So what we had was we pushed down, right, and then we throw a doji here, kind of a very long wick doji. So this looks like, all right, it might be turning around. We start getting solid volume here. We form an ascending triangle on the 1 minute chart, and this chart respects the ascending triangle right there. Right, so we have an ascending triangle, then you see this slightly longer candlestick here, so it respects that. And on top of that, you see this nice, you know, condensing right here at around 46, and I took it long. So I took it long on what I'm calling like a street light, because to me it kind of looks like a street light pattern here. Essentially it's an ABCD pattern, but it's a specific type that I've identified that I'll explain on another video. But the reason I took it long is because the way this volume was playing out, and the stock was on SSR, meaning people have to go short on an uptick, so there's some more momentum upward than would normally otherwise be there. But this volume to me said this move wasn't over, and I figured we're going to go back to VWAP and then maybe push for the 47, because at the time this was coming down. We had these here around 47, so that was the move. If 46 couldn't really hold very well, you know, if I lost like, I don't know, 46.90, I was going to get out. Luckily it held. I partial out heavily at VWAP. Then right here, this add was an accident. So this is a hotkey mistake. I was actually trying to take an additional partial, but I hit the wrong key and I added, and then out at break even here. So this is a nice winning trade for me. What stinks is this add moved my break even point up. If I had not mistakenly made that add, I actually might have been able to hold through these pullbacks because my entry at 46 was really nice, and maybe could have gotten this really nice move upward. But thus is a hotkey mistake. So the best trades of the day came on NIO here, and NIO formed a bearish boot. So what we have a heel. Well, really right here it formed a trade which I'm going to go over on another occasion. This is more of a cow catcher, but it also formed a bearish boot. Now it's not as good a bearish boot as I would like to see, but it is a bearish boot nonetheless. So here's what I saw. We're trending downward. We get below all these MAs here, and I want to take it short. The volume is good enough for me to believe, all right, it's a short. Now this right here was a stop out and a loss, and again, this is another example. I took it short here, and I knew, see, we have too much volume here to take it short right there. But I knew I can get a better entry. But I didn't wait for it, so I got in at like somewhere around, let's see, I got in at 63.77. I knew I could get a better entry. I didn't wait for it, then I got stopped out. But obviously the 64 level, much better entry. And so this is a big loss, but it looked like it was coming back down. It looked like my suspicions of it being a short were confirmed. I took it short here. Partials down here based on level 2 stuff. It came back on me. I did a nice add here. I'm very proud of this add. Took out another partial there, took another partial here, and then out at break even. So this is a really nice trade for me. It's one successful add. Again, this one and the first mistake I made today were all just not waiting for the best entry. And if I can say it in my head that I should wait and I don't, it almost always pans out bad, and that's the example of these. So not a super clean trading day, but I did have a few nice trades in there. Overall, did not dig myself out of that hole. And hopefully tomorrow's a little cleaner, a little better. Hopefully you guys had a better trading day than I did.